Let's just let the colleague from Voltalia speak. I'd like to thank everybody from Energy Press and Theodoris and the whole team. I'd just like to add a few things. I just don't want to go through the many things that have already been mentioned by my fellow speakers. We're talking about PVs here. PVs are one solution in the road to green investment and the goals that we've set for 2030 and 2050. Many things have been said during the day. Some of them have been sort of a part of a slightly more heated discussion. But I believe that all of us would agree that we cannot reach the 2030 and 2050 goals if the PVs are not part of that solution. And as a very important part of the solution that offers renewable energy in a sort of relatively cheaper way compared to other alternatives that are currently available. So therefore, this is something that it needs to be made clear that PVs are there and they need to be there in order to have the right energy mix in the future. Looking at the figures that Mr. Charalambidis shared with us, I believe that we can reach the 2050 goals tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, just with PVs, if we look at what's been submitted. Of course, I do not believe that this is a solution. There's some kind of problem that's behind this, and this is a problem that needs to be dealt with. We've been talking about an energy-intensive industry, an industry that requires heavy investments, and is now facing a major problem that has to do with the networks and whether we can connect the networks and so that we can move on with the investments, so that we don't have funds that are just sitting there, just making, benefiting just in insurance companies and banks. There are many things that need to be done towards that. There needs to be investments for the development of networks, of course. Should we create interconnections with other parts of the market? Yes, of course. Are we certain about when all this is going to happen and how we can reach that result? Unfortunately, I'm going to say no here. And the reason is very simple, something that's already mentioned, that more transparency is required. We need to know what the rules are and know when we'll be able to kind of run these investments and when we'll be able to talk to these banks and not have a black box and not knowing what the outcome is going to be. Are we the only ones in the world? No, clearly not. Similar things are happening in other markets in the world, but certainly there are solutions, and these solutions do not only require the state or any regulatory authority or the operator to do something, but ourselves, because we're part of the problem. And to be more specific, we are now reaching a point, and I'm going to use that as an example. We're reaching a point where we have licenses that even have terms of connection, and they don't even have the land. Are these projects going to be realized? Possibly. Would they not be? Well, probably not. Is that a problem? Yes, it is. Could we do anything about this? I believe yes, and Mr. Charalambidis would probably disagree because it's going to create more work for us, but this is something that we've seen in other markets, I think in England, in Germany, even getting a producer certificate from RAI, you need to have some reassurances about the land ownership and land use and all that. We've seen all that. However, at some point we need to look at that so that we don't get to the point that we have 3 gigawatts, as mentioned by the president of ADMIE, and when we don't know whether that's going to be implemented or not. What's the problem here? The problem is for everybody else who's kind of waiting to come in. So what we need to do in order to find a solution when it comes to the connection with the network is there needs to be some kind of clearance. A clearance is going to we need to clarify what the rules are and how we can sort out the investments that will be able to be implemented realistically. We kind of blame, in inverted commas, the PVs for the problem that they're creating. So there's the whole kind of issue of seasonality, when they're contributing to the network during the day. So what's the solution? Storage. Okay. Certainly storage is an integral part of renewables. And certain things need to be done towards that. Should they be linked to the projects? My impression is that they shouldn't. And what do I mean? There should be a degree of flexibility. The battery could be as part of the project, or it could be in the same geographic location. So essentially what it's going to do is what the battery requires to do, to just balance out the network. Making every supplier having batteries, I think that's just complicating things, and it's not necessarily going to prove to be a long-term solution. So therefore, I don't believe that batteries should be out, but I think there should be more flexibility, and they should just play the role that they're made to play. And the same way that the technology moved on when it comes to panels, and the same thing is going to happen with batteries. And just a final point, since we're running out of time, relates to what I said earlier. We're talking about an industry that which is very capital intensive. It requires a lot of capitals, and there needs to be a certain degree of certainty. I'm not saying that the state should always be there to subsidize us, and so that we can just take money from one pocket and put it into the other, but there needs to be some way so that we can have bankable contracts, either through PPAs, which can be done under the right circumstances and terms, and not with projects which are burdened by the additional cost of batteries. But for me, also to have some kind of tenders every year that will give you some kind of long-term, some stability in the tariff, I think that would be important. I agree that there is a lot of competition, but there should be a set of rules that are going to be known to everyone and are going to be respected by everyone. And there's going to be transparency so that everyone knows what the landscape is that we entering and we want to invest in. Companies like ours have a presence here for over 15 years. And this is because of the geographical location and what would believe the role of renewables as going to be in the Greek reality. So that we can move with these investments and reach those goals that we want to achieve, both for the country and our companies. Thank you very much.